Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are DebateSensei. We got Matt Shapiro, Esquire.
Hello.
Got Tim Seavey from San Diego. I'm Jared Kabiga Miller. I am your professor of communications, debate instructor. We're talking about the monarchy today. The queen is dead. And so long live the king. Right?
Respectfully.
Yeah. No, that always tripped me out when they say like the king has died. Long live the king. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh, okay, now I get it.
I didn't vote for him.
The old institution.
Yeah.
We're a semi-autonomous collective. So yeah, I think there's some interesting fodder for a few things, like what's the future going to be like, or perhaps like what should the future be like, or how is it going to change? So I think that they probably won't come up as like a debate topic as much, but it'll definitely be in a lot of extemp rounds of like predict what's going to happen. And some useful background on it. Matt, turn it over to you. Teach us about
the background is there is a country and it is called England, formerly known as England. And there's a monarchy, a king or queen for the latter part of several centuries, king and queen. But it used to be kings exclusively. And they wore cod pieces and things like that. Very, very expensive, fine linens and furs.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I got distracted for a second. Hold on. Let me finish. And then, they slayed dragons. I think that's how you became a king. You killed a dragon, and then all your kids forever got to be king. That's what it was.
I think that's it.
And they have a lot of money now. They have lots of things.
Do you know where they get their money from? Did they get a piece of taxes? Did they get a cut of that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's what we are very American right now.
No. For sure, 100%. The monarchy gets their money, a large part of their money. I'm sure there are people who donate money, but
I thought we threw.
They received a giant chunk of tax money. Yes, it's true. There's like, I don't know. Here's what I don't know. I don't know if there's like a legislative bill or something or a executive order. I don't know what's going on like that, but I do know that they do have a stipend or some amount of money that's taxpayer money
allowance
of England.
I do remember hearing that
there's Britain
like a prohibition on work, or holding regular jobs. Like that's like not. I think it's just like by rule not allowed. I think that was the whole. I think that might have been part of the whole Meghan Markle thing. I am not going to get into the royal drama. You know what I mean? Because I'm really about. I don't know. I can't follow that.
I'm not about that life.
But what we are about is predicting the future. I think that he should claim himself to be the last king. So King Charles III, who's newly on the throne, claim himself to be the last king because his kids and like all the next line, it starts to get all kinds of messy. And I think he can say like, we don't need it, right? I would be interested. I would be fascinated.
Why would he do that?
Someone that knows what they do.
First of all,
like tell me. Like,
my only question is like, why? If you were the king, right? Let's say that you, King Tim, and they're like, "Hey, I know you've been waiting to be king for like 70 years now.
No, he would declare
that whole king thing up.
No, so it'd be Prince. Who is it? Charles. That would be all. Not what is it? William, right?
William and Harry. Yeah, so it's his kids that he'd just be like, "F you guys, you're not getting anything. You're cut off, and that's it." Right? Like, go get a job, hippie, and like figure out what real living is. I think
that's what the plan fails. This is a fiat abuse. That's what we call that.
Like there are 27% of Britons that are in favor of just abolishing the monarchy,
which is a tiny amount if you think about it.
Because it is
on all the pros and cons articles. I could probably link them somewhere here, but there's a Week article from the Week UK, and like the first one says pro. This is why it's good. It's popular with the public. And similar to what Jared's saying, like 62% of the population thought the monarchy should continue. 22% saying it should have elected head of state instead. I don't know. So there's an article. Maybe I'll get the link for you, Jared.
I mean that's for that's for the country like proper, right? There's a whole bunch of other countries in the Commonwealth that still recognize the Queen as, you know, head of state, even though like functionally it doesn't really do anything all that much.
I thought about that, and like Somalia joined. Angola and Somalia were the only two places that the Queen did not visit in the Commonwealth, and it was because they joined after she stopped traveling. And so like I was wondering to myself, like, why would someone join in like 2006? Like, why are you joining the Commonwealth? Like, I thought that pretty much universally countries got out from under British control, USA. But no,
you know what the number one holiday in the world is? The number one holiday in the world is Independence Day from England.
Here, different days probably.
More countries recognize Independence Day from England than any other holiday.
More than Christmas?
I think so. I don't know. Yeah.
More than like Yom Kippur? Wow. That's pretty awesome, actually. Like, neat. Okay. So here's the thing. I think that's like part of it. I imagine that they probably get some kind of foreign aid, right? I would imagine that being part of the Commonwealth probably comes with like some like allyship, like, oh, we pledge to protect the crown. So it's maybe like you get to be part of like, maybe it's like the Delta Sky Miles Club. Like they get to sit in cool bars in the airport. Like British Airways treats them nicer. So I'm imagining like it just comes with some like economic perks with like some, you know, aid or whatever, because rich countries tend to do that, and maybe some like military protections or something like that. I think it would be interesting to know what are the perks of the Commonwealth. But I did learn that the crown makes money because they have a gigantic endowment, and so just the investment dividends generates hundreds of millions of dollars a year, and they keep 25% of that and then give the rest back because they're so generous.
Now,
so there you go.
Talk about the other countries in the Commonwealth, though. Like Barbados already voted to kick her out. You know what I mean? Before, so
the guillotine.
Yeah. So now the question is, are there going to be more? Like Jamaica is already looking like they're going to be cutting that off. But the question is, like, are there going to be other countries that are going to be following suit? Is it going to accelerate now that the Queen has died?
They're going to have to change all the flags.
I was tripping out about how they're going to have to change all their money. I'm like, holy moly! Like you have to do that every time, like the freaking king or queen dies.
No, but like every single school is going to have a new flag.
In the one country that doesn't have
someone's gonna die over a flag battle trying to decide which flag.
No,
it'll be a cost of war. Anyways, yes, there's a bunch of pros.
Like there are social and economic benefits. So I don't think they get any like military whatever from it, but they get a community of independent and sovereign states. But they join a supportive community. This is coming from their pitch website of like, hey, would you like to join the Commonwealth? Didn't think they would have a website, so imagine heads of state are just Googling, like, how do we get a better community? Like, how to build better culture? Googling it in Grenada or whatever. And they're like, oh, we could join the Commonwealth. Or, like, buy a football club. That could be interesting. Like, that could maybe rally people together. So I think it's like an either-or thing. I imagine they probably have to, like, pledge to protect some stuff, too, though.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot more about the Commonwealth, you know, now because of this. Is like I had no idea. I'm looking at like all the countries. I'm like, wait, really? Still? Like, oh, like the sun never sets for Britain, you know.
So maybe DebateSensei should join the Commonwealth. Is that what you're saying? Like, what do you get? Like t-shirts, at least. I'd hope.
Go make a micronation.
Okay, so reasons for it. If there was a debate topic or something, it was like the UK should abolish the monarchy.
What? For abolishing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so Matt,
like
what would you throw out on the pro side?
Like straight up democracy, fairness. Like it's time to like.
But
It's
they
time
already
to
have
grow up,
it,
everybody.
right? Like, I mean, they still vote for their prime minister and they vote for their MPs and they vote for their whatever duchesses.
Yeah, but
Um,
having your funds go to sort of support like a living archaeological sort of project or something is like I don't know why, you know, like why, like the idea that bloodlines should determine class and nobility and stuff like that is something that we should fully reject finally.
Wipe it from the earth.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like it's time to just admit that they're just people, all right? Because like we treat them more than just people.
But they have a lot of
stop it.
money. Okay,
yeah,
they're
I'm
not gonna
sorry.
just.
Come on over
They're
to the
gonna use
United
all
States.
their power to not let you do that, Jared.
The good old
And
US
look,
today, if you're rich, you get everything. So
Here you go. They said here that it is an advantage of the monarchy, according to this article. Says, which Jared, I put in the comments if you want to put it in the comments, but soft power profits the UK. So they benefit. They benefit. I don't know what it says. Soft power profits UK. I don't know what that says. So, but the point I think what they're trying to say is, I guess there's some ability
it's an
for
alliance. It's like a handshake with like a fancy
you
insider
could make
club handshake
symbolic
alliance.
gestures with a monarch
Yeah.
towards a country or something to make a statement or do something that would either
like they still
benefit
have
or
they still have influence over politics, and it's all
Right.
based off of marriage and bloodlines, and that's
well, I understand that.
that's pretty undemocratic.
I guess
you know
what Jared's saying is if you have the AF on this debate, you should just put your paper down and let the Neg say something.
He's like, come on, let's get real, people. Like, kings are stupid.
There is no good reason.
You just start the national anthem on your phone on Spotify, just hit play, and then just get going on your speech. Yeah, so I think there's plenty of like pro-democracy arguments on the affirmative side.
Yeah.
On the negative side, I think I just start going into like the value. I mean, can you abolish the monarchy without removing the commonwealth? Yeah, maybe. So maybe that's like where, because I'm not seeing a whole lot of offense on the negative side besides like it keeps the people interested. And it's like, I guess you want to keep your best celebrity family going because of like an entertainment value or something. Like I'm trying to really like drill down some actual unique value.
I would think more cultural. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, listen,
If money is going in any way, shape, or form, like, or however the economics work out, or whatever effect it has to be a commonwealth, you know, labeled under that. If there's a benefit to those countries somehow, which I'm sure is a very probably debatable topic in itself in each and every one of them, but it would be a little tricky to like pull a rug out from people. Now, if the money typically flows one way, then yeah, it's almost like in the same reason. Why do we have a monarch? Why would you have money flowing from a country to just be shipped over? I mean,
leverage, right? So like I think that
I don't know
the answer,
any
like
of this, so
while
that's good.
dark, it's like because sanctions are better than bullets or something, and so it's like we give out ridiculous amounts of, or in this case, UK gives out tons of foreign aid, so they have something to take away to like influence policy. But I think you could probably separate it, like in a round, you could probably separate like the Commonwealth from the monarchy. Like you could keep the Commonwealth and just say like, all right, the prime minister now oversees the Commonwealth or something. But to like, so they do still go to summits and things, right? Like they don't legislate, they don't like create law, but they still go to, you know, diplomatic meetings and things like that, and are like generally representatives of their country. They're like spokespeople, I guess, for their country. So I don't see, like, I guess there's a cultural value to that. Like, is it as culturally valuable as the Super Bowl halftime show? Like we had like Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre and Eminem all in the same state and 50 Cent all at the same time. Like that's a lot of culture, maybe more valuable. So like it is just another kind of celebrity, but they just happen to have like a fancy backstory. I'm still a little bit struggling.
A very
to, like,
long
what that
backstory where like
value is.
generations of people who, a lot of them are that's their team, man. That's it. I don't know.
So I suppose that's really almost as far as it. So one of the things I was reading was that like Charles, as a prince, was involved in a whole lot of like economic summits and was like really, or excuse me, not economic, environmental, was like really proponent of all these like environmental changes and policies and things like that. And like, we should get our country behind it. Now, I don't think he's allowed to sign anything on the country's behalf. I don't think he's allowed to like enter into treaties or change stuff or like go to war or whatever. But like, there's still a degree of influence that he has over stuff. And I feel like the country would probably be a little bit unlikely to subvert what he were to say if you're like, hey, everyone, we should all, you know, do our part to recycle or something. Like, people are probably on board with like whatever direction they take. So I think at best it still is like a cultural spokesperson. Anything more on the neg that you've got, Matt? I'm kind of drawing a blank on like where else to go.
Hold on. What about you know, when like someone is knighted?
Mm-hmm.
Is that have anything to do with the magical powers of the monarchy?
100%. Yeah.
Okay. So one downside to abolishing the monarchy would be
no more knights.
Sir Elton John would lose the Sir, and Sir Michael Jackson would lose the Sir, and Sir Paul McCartney would lose the Sir,
and Dyson, the guy that invented the Dyson vacuum.
All the millionaires would be pissed off. That's why.
Yeah, Richard Branson.
Do it.
That's fair too. Yeah,
I mean, I that's, I don't know. That's uniquely British, and that gets like it will never happen anymore. Now it's part of history. It's kind of like, and like, it wasn't doing anybody any harm, you know. Like, so why don't we just keep on?
No,
you know,
doing them good.
I could do that, you know. It's a lot more defense, but it's like, come on now, you know. It's like, hey, yeah, we're kind of, you know, stupid little hairless monkeys, you know, walking around in our velvet coats.
Knighting people.
Let us have our toys. Come on. You know?
Huh.
They get to use a sword. It's
like,
cool.
they have to, like, I think it'd be more pressing.
You know who's going to be upset about the monarchy going down? Sword manufacturers. I have almost no doubt, if the monarchy even speaks of this, sell all your stocks in broadsword manufacturing.
I would disagree about that, man.
I think they're going to become more rare.
Forged in Fire. You seen that show?
Oh yeah, that's a great show.
I have seen that show.
Yeah, it's like there's plenty.
I'm embarrassed to say I've seen more than one episode of that show.
So there's I think some value, you know, in, I guess, the pomp and circumstance. It's like makes people interested in a thing. It's like just the value of giving medals, right? It doesn't actually do anything, but like it makes people feel better. So, you know, you count up the dopamine molecules, and like that's how good it is, I guess. But I think the costs, you can start talking about like hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever. Like, so some of that like there's some financial argument. I think that there's a little more like tangible on that. But alas, it's perhaps a stupid topic. Maybe a resolution wouldn't come up of like we should abolish the monarchy. Maybe
there
instead
is one with the crown jewels, though. That would be okay. So
about the what?
The crown jewels have a lot of stones
money
around the world that they acquired during like colonialism times, like the Koh-i-Noor
pillaging of
in
India
nations.
The
So
time.
like it's like giant gems, you know what I mean, and the very, very culturally important. And so like the Koh-i-Noor was had a long history throughout India, and like, so when, you know, England colonized India, they found their way to get that stone, and they made part of the crown jewels. When they decolonized, they kept it, and so there's a lot of people calling for that
genius plan in a
jewel
horrible
to
way.
be returned. Yeah,
Interesting. I'm kind of surprised that like all of the countries that lay legitimate claim to the stuff that exists in the British Museum don't just like get it all back, right? Like the pieces of the Parthenon that are like like they have the majority of the pieces of the Parthenon in the British Museum. Like that should probably exist on the Parthenon, right?
A museum,
but they're like, nah, we're British.
Is a zoo for artifacts. Tie back to watch last week's show about zoos. Actually, 2 weeks ago.
It's a zoo for artifacts.
Yeah. They say they treat them nicely, but like, do Parthenons grow in captivity? Not as well.
But
So-
just generally
yet.
returning that stuff, is like
Yeah.
is now a good time to do it because of the transition? It's like
Yeah, I think that's a cool idea, like a good direction to take, like further dismantling the historical colonization. Like,
Don't worry, Jared's been 3D printing a Parthenon in his garage.
Nice.
So
Is
if you
that
hear
what
any
that
noise,
mess
by the
is?
way.
Okay.
So I have to use
I'm
the
not
back.
sure. Like, other directions this could possibly go is like how long will Charles rule before it turns over to William? Because like he's took over at 73. Like he may just be over it, right? Like he may not
No
want
way.
to do this for
Nope.
a
I
while
don't
and
think so.
then pass it on. And then what does the future of that look like? Is it really just more of the same? Because like the press keeps getting bigger. Like each generation of monarch, there's more spotlight on them just because there are more news outlets and there's more criticism, whatever, in every direction. So like I think there's just more pressure put on them to do more stuff and to be more, I don't know, culturally helpful. So what does that mean for the responsibilities that Charles is inheriting?
You know what's funny is how the timeline of this series of British monarchs are how the Queen lived so long, and that length of time created a lot of love for her. You know what I mean? If nothing else, for lack of a better, or maybe that's the word. And I think that's why that's so strong. That's why these numbers kind of blow us away. But the reality is, I guess a large part of at least people who are answering these polls love the Queen. So, or the monarchy. You'd think it means the monarchy, but what's really kind of curious is, what if this new king is installed? He's kind of a different vibe because the Queen was young when she started and like grew her whole life and became this statesman or stateswoman, statesperson, and the king is kind of now just kind of cruising through the end of his, unfortunately, his life as a king, but he's gonna have just a whole different, feel with the people. So that number could change quickly. I mean, in the future, as we're talking about. So I don't know. And what's funny too, though, is if here's another third, God save the king, but if he passes away, the next one will be relatively younger. I mean, I don't. I think the next one will be more like an Elizabeth because, or that's her name. That's not right. Whatever.
She preferred Bethy, you swine. But yeah.
She raised corgis. I don't know. I guess what I'm just trying to say is like it would be funny because for as much as me that thinks that maybe it all swings against Charles, the next up in line could be kind of a different feel, and that might again bring those numbers back up, or people might be looking towards those things to be like, well, that's why we're going to keep doing it, because of maybe not this guy, but the one good thing about the bloodline is exactly who's coming up next. They're like, that's going to be the next person. So do I like him, or do I like her? Like, I don't know. That's just kind of how it goes, and that's kind of interesting because that would be I think the sentiment for each of these individual people are very different. So, and obviously we have 3 minutes left. We could just throw mad shade. Should we throw mad shade?
Huh? Oh, on the royal family.
I mean, we haven't said the word. Was it Andrew? Prince Andrew? Is that his name?
Right.
Does anyone know who Prince Andrew is? Hey, everyone, even kings and princes and dukes of Earl, are people, and some of them are vile, disgusting people. So why would you subsidize debauchery? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, and also if you want to see a good reason, go learn about Prince Andrew, and then after you learn a little bit about it, watch his interview on Nightline, and you will understand why sometimes you should just not say anything to anyone and just chill out for a little bit, because he looked, even as guilty as he was, I felt bad. I'm like, oh God, you're just on camera. Anyways, really good cameras, very good production quality.
The drama of the I think the drama of the royal family as well. I mean, that could be the source of certain debates. Like,
he spent 4 days with Jeffrey Epstein telling him that he's going to say goodbye to him.
Shut up.
How does that make
Is
sense?
Meghan Markle being treated fairly? Stuff like that. You know what I mean? So like those things, like the pop culture stuff is still fucking debate worthy. You know what I mean? Because it seemed like there was some pretty nasty stuff that was being said. Like what, I don't know what the hell Piers Morgan has like against her, but he just hates them for some reason. I don't get it. I don't get
Just breaking up the royal family because it's so important.
Russell, what's his name? Russell Brand. I watched a podcast of his about the death of the Queen, and he was talking about this person who was screaming in the at the procession as the coffin's being like, you know, taken to the streets. This guy starts screaming at the procession where the children are walking behind the king and the queen, the king and the royal family are walking right behind the casket, and they're screaming and yelling. And there's like, it's a little violent. Someone throws the screamer to the ground, and Russell Brand was the one who said basically, he's like, look, I would never do what that guy did, but he's allowed to do it. And I thought it was an interesting take on kind of like he wasn't necessarily pro, monarchy, but he just was more pro. I wouldn't scream at someone's funeral procession. So that's what I think he was coming from.
But John Oliver is definitely anti-monarchy. He had a nice long monologue about it. I guess he did not hold back.
It's undemocratic. It's
but they don't do much. It's like we don't. I mean, I guess in a way,
institutional inequality. I mean, at the highest level.
I mean, like, is it any different from like our obsession with like pro sports, though? I mean, I guess that like our pro athletes can actually
because they have to go run and jump and do things like you pay the athlete because they're this spectacular feat is being done in front of you. Like,
name any reality show, right? Like, I think a tabloid level celebrity is just it's a thing. It exists in society because enough people say that their voice, face, or otherwise is valuable. So like this family happens to be successful and a big deal because their bloodline's successful. Is that a bad thing? Like maybe they should just say like they don't get access to their royal funds or something anymore because they're ill-gotten gains. Like if they can create a tech empire, then great. They get to stay in Buckingham Palace, but otherwise rent's a coming next month.
Well, I mean, if the argument is like it's good to have these relics of human stupidity to keep us humble.
Whoa, shot fired.
Okay. Yeah, we organize ourselves
tiny
in
island,
stupid ass ways. You know what I mean? Like thinking God touched somebody and all of their children forever and ever. That's kind of dumb, and I think it's good to remind ourselves how dumb we are.
Some waterlogged tart lobbed a scimitar at him.
Yeah, that's my whole position on the neg. Basically, is like, yeah, what are you gonna do? We're kind of stupid.
The neg is like you will never be able to abolish because the people at the gates where you need to get that done legislatively are all probably in their pockets. That's what's going on.
That's also true too. Yeah, can't dismantle because it's not really an organization of state at this point. It's like its own, self-sustaining inertia ball.
Yeah. Well, I think we've exhausted this topic here. All right.
Yes. Dead horses are being beaten.
Okay. We'll see you next week, and we'll talk about something else. All right.
That's right. You heard it here.